how to get out of our mundane, everyday life and everything that draws us away from our spiritual practice, and holds our attention with worry or fear or greed, even of some types. We wouldn't think of them as greed, but wanting more and needing more. The only difference that I see here, although it's an excellent question, I didn't know you were going, but I'm happy to hear you're going. That's wonderful. Is that you're helped in India in a way that we're not as easily or readily helped here. There is something about India and the spirit that prevails there. I think anybody who's ever lived there or been there would say that it's easier to both slip into and stay in an uplifted, spiritually more expansive state. Also, there are things going on in India that we're not used to seeing, and even people from India who have lived here for a long time forget, and they have a shock value. I mean, just some of the way people live, just the ways things happen in stores. Everything is different. Everything. When I remember the first few times I went to India, which was in the 80s. So some of you weren't even born. Some of you Indians weren't even born yet. India was completely different in many ways than it is now. You actually have to travel to find that part of India that was very common then. You just wouldn't even recognize some of the big cities from then till now. But I used to say to myself, how is it that so many Indians move to the United States? They must land and think, what in the world? Like they landed on a different planet. And I remember one person, one Indian who came here, who said to Asha when they arrived, where are all the people? They just couldn't relate to what was going on here. I say that just because it is still dramatically different. And I still think it's a very good question, aside from the way that you're carried there. When I go to India, I usually try. I've never been there on a pilgrimage the way you're going. I've always just gone. So I'm more alone usually, or with a friend or two. In those olden days, I went with many more people, but it's been a long time. Anyway, to take with me, I truly consider it a pilgrimage like a seclusion. So the only books I take, the only music I take, I try very hard to only allow myself to engage in spiritually uplifting activities. And I think when you're on a pilgrimage like this, you have to be strong about that, because some of the other people that are going might be distracted. And if you don't want to be distracted from the true purpose of the pilgrimage, here you are going to Calcutta and Varanasi. You're really going to those places where all of our gurus have lived and taught, meditated. It's such sacred land. I actually think all of India is, but for us, you're doing this remarkably sacred pilgrimage. So I would say decide to be a pillar of spiritual focus and activity, not to the point of ruining other people's times, but in that way where you try and keep every conversation uplifted or focused, or gently, politely, lovingly find a way to disengage. Because again, a lot of people will be sidetracked. It just happens that way. But yes, in Sai Ganesh we'll see to this, and Shavendra and Daya and Keshava, the other leaders, that you're chanting a lot, that stories are being told. I actually keep forgetting to mention Sai Ganesh, but I'm telling it to as many people who are going as I can to try and get into the river in Varanasi every day, if you can. It's sacred, and it's profound and uplifting. And if you just get yourself away from the people and into the river, and actually get in the river, but, you can go out in boats and to get so that you're in that sacred vibration, that too. But make it a point. The pilgrimage is just 2 weeks, is that right? Yeah. It'll seem like a very long time, but it's not a long time to keep your attention here all the time, all the time. And again, if others don't, just separate yourself from them.